Hey, I'm live, it says. What's up, people? What's up, folks? Saturday night. Just got a haircut. Tomorrow, I got to go to Canada because I'm going to Cosmo Music in Toronto, and I'm also doing a clinic in Ottawa. I'm doing two Suhr clinics. So, respective Suhr dealers. Wow, the lighting's kind of weird, eh? Sucks pretty much. Oh, well, whatever. It is what it is. Anyway, yeah, Suhr clinics up in Canada. My recording and production for the modern guitarist clinics. And I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be fun. Hello from Ontario. I see Ontario's in the house. That's awesome. Hope you can make it to a clinic. What do my clinics consist of? Robert's asking. Well, it's a clinic I developed about a year ago called Recording and Production for the Modern Guitarist. And what you know what? This light looks like so bad. I'm just going to change it. 1 second. So maybe that'll help a little bit. Yeah, terrible bright light over there. It's better to have not that. The clinic is basically all about how I write songs and produce songs in the studio when I'm doing like my video demos and stuff like that. So it's essentially to teach everything from, getting guitar sounds to drum sounds. I talk about bass. I talk about all that good stuff, and also a little bit about writing and stuff. It's largely centered kind of around, I kind of wanted to develop a clinic that talks a lot about how to get great tones in a room like this. Like, for a lot of people, if you're trying to record it in a home, most people don't have studios and stuff. So there's these great things that you can get now, such as, reactive load boxes, be it the Suhr load box or the aux, all these different ones, in order to help you record real tube amps at home and get great sounds. So I sort of teach that in the clinic, like, hey, you don't need to throw away your tube amps if you got a nice amp, and it's gathering dust in the closet because it's just too loud or whatever. You can plug it in and use it through headphones if you want to. So a lot of it is centered around that. And also, some stuff about mixing and production and stuff like that. So I just try and get some good information out there. I track a song in the clinic is what I do. There's 5 different guitar parts in the song, and I actually go through and play all the parts and lay each one down and describe sort of choices that I'm making and stuff like that. Both musical choices and tonal choices and stuff. And then I talk a little bit about a mix and mastering and stuff like that. And then also about getting your music out there, like how you can, upload it and actually sell it via iTunes and Amazon and stuff like that. Somebody went in the top chat here. Tim is in the top chat. He says, if you could have been in the audience at any concert ever, which would you pick? Oh, man, the first thing that came to mind, just because I guess we all are lately, maybe, or at least a lot of us, but I'm on a bit of a Queen kick lately. I never saw Queen live. I never saw Zeppelin either. Saw The Who, but not with Keith Moon. Would have been great to see The Who with Keith Moon, I think. So those are the first things that come to mind. As well as, Beatles would be obviously incredible, right? So trying to get back to the regular chat here, the live chat. My thing's not working very well. Anyway, let's take a break and have a cider, shall we? How about a Blackthorn? Sounds good to me. I've got a friend named Tommy Black, and I sent him a photo of the Blackthorn cider, and he was impressed. It's my Hosa glass. The nice folks at Hosa sent me this. They make pretty damn good cables for cheap. Quality stuff. Let's see. Wish someone sold Suhr guitars in Nova Scotia. Yeah, I mean, that'd be great. There's a great dealer in Edmonton now, Stang Guitars in Edmonton, where I did a clinic recently. That's my hometown. Hello from Costa Rica. What's up, Costa Rica? How do you say your Chongaleta? 1, 2, 3, 4. I like Costa Rica. I had a great time there. Playa Negra, kind of around Tamarindo. Vacationed there a number of years ago, 5 years ago or so. I loved that place. It was great. Robert says, thank you. Sounds like a great clinic. Yeah, I hope folks will enjoy it. I've had a great time doing them in Europe, as well as a couple that I did in Calgary and Edmonton. I think I've done it about, probably 8 times now or something like that. And people seem to dig it. And the best thing that I've gotten out of it is people saying, hey, I never really thought about recording, but now I'm going to go home and try. I want to really, give it a shot and write some songs and stuff. And that's the coolest thing for me. is if I can somehow maybe spark some folks to go, hey, I can do this. I can write songs like this guy and go home and get some good tones and have some fun and maybe, get my music out there. That's the coolest thing. New CD still sounds awesome. Says Rock Camp. Next CD, any thoughts about adding a singer? I would love to do another project someday with a singer. Holly Henderson's music's about to come out, and it's not my record, but it's this record I produced. It's taken a long time to get finished, but it is a record I'm involved in. She's a great singer with great songs. So that's coming soon. Something I was involved with. I played a bit of guitar on it. I tried to get her to play as much of the guitar as possible because I didn't want to kind of screw up her sound. It's really her album and her project. We wrote a few of the songs together, but it's mainly her writing. So that'll be the next thing that comes out that I was pretty much, really heavily involved in, but it was more on a production level and mixing and stuff. Have you ever tried playing with a coin like Brian May? I have. I was never very successful, and that's from Bill. When you play with a coin, it tends to tear your strings up. That's the first thing, pretty quickly, and it has that raspy sound or whatever. What's that, and how can I get one? Are you talking about the my cider or the pedals in the pitcher? I drink cider because I quit drinking and eating gluten a number of years ago. It's been about 8 years because it just made me feel like shit. So I stopped. So I kind of became a cider fan. I actually don't really miss beer, although I found a pretty good Dara, I think it's called, gluten-free beer is pretty good. I've been having that recently a little bit, and but I was never really a big beer drinker. I kind of like the ciders. Let's see here. Where do you like to set your tone knobs on Strats? Well, on a Strat, I always put I do the Eric Johnson thing where on the all the way down tone knob, the one right beside the output jack, I always wire that to the bridge pickup. And I'll usually run it back a little ways, like on not a lot, not as much as some guys, but I'll put it on 7 or 8, something like that, just to take the edge off that Strat bridge pickup. And I kind of like to balance it with the neck pickup. So like you get a great neck pickup sound with enough clarity out of the amp, and then you hit the bridge and it's usually a little too edgy, and you just roll the tone back a bit and get it so that it's right in the zone. That's what I like to do on a Strat. What else? I guess I should talk a little bit about, Rich is in the live chat or top chat. He says, have you tried EQD's Black Ashes yet? I have not tried that. So maybe pedals of the week here. I should talk a little bit about that. Pedals that are on my mind right now. I'm doing a video right now after I sign off with you guys in a little bit here. I'll finish it up on the Atlantic from Duex. So this is a cool pedal that is basically a reverb and delay. Very, very simple pedal. You've got 3 different types, like 60s, 70s, or I guess it's 60s, 70s, and 70s, 80s, and 90s. 70s, 60s, 80s. That's a weird way to do it. Anyway, whatever, sorry. 3 different delay types that are basically kind of analog tape digital on a switch. And then you've got, let's see here, 3 different reverbs. That is a spring, a plate, and a hall. And essentially what you get for the delay controls is a level control, and then you get a subdivision for the delay for tap. It's an ingenious switch that basically just on and off for the delay, and then even when it's on, you just tap it, and it recognizes tap tempo, and somehow it recognizes when you only hit it once that you want it to turn it off. So it's a combination tap tempo and on-off switch in one button for the delay, and then you get a repeat. So it's basically delay level, repeats, subdivision, and a tap, and then a switch to select 3 different delay types. And then on the reverb side, you basically get just a decay control and a level control, and that's it. And then you get spring, plate, and hall. Incredibly simple. But if you hold down the switch in both the plate and the hall setting, you can get either a freeze. So it'll just take whatever the last thing you played and hold on to it. And so you can kind of play over top of it, which is really cool. And that's in I believe in the plate mode, and then in the hall mode. I might have this backwards, but in the hall mode, then if you hold it down, it brings a shimmer in. So you can just kind of like kind of randomly, momentary switch wise, get a shimmer effect going just for a second, then release it and it goes away. Really cool. This pedal is inexpensive. I think it's $180. I might have that wrong, but relatively inexpensive for a cool reverb and delay in one pedal. Pretty cool, I think. So I'm working on a video for this right now. It's got stereo outs, mono and stereo. It's got a line level and -10 level switch, and it's also got a serial or parallel switch. You can run the delays in series, or delay and reverb in series, or you can run them both in parallel if you want clearer delays and to separate the stuff. There's a USB port there that's probably to update, or I don't know what else to do different stuff for. But yeah, digging it. These guys do cool stuff. The NuX folks are they do that. Kind of the multi-effect pedal that I did a long time ago. This Cerberus, is that what it's called? It was really cool. Good sounding overdrives and distortions in it and stuff. Anyway, the other thing, the Hartman flanger. Here's one that I've had for years, but haven't used in a long time. This is basically an Electro-Harmonix Electric Mistress, sorry. Not a deluxe Electric Mistress, but the first version recreated. And I was doing this week with Philip from Steve Vai's band, great bass player, and Mike Portnoy, incredible drummer. And I played guitar. We went to a studio here in Burbank and cut YYZ, Tom Sawyer, and Spirit of Radio, which you can see on my Instagram, by the way. Put one of the takes that we did. I don't know if it was the one we used or not, but you can see us playing Spirit of Radio. So and you can hear what this sounds like. Maybe not, because I don't think I ever hit the diddle part in the video that's uploaded. But anyway, this pedal nails that tone. It sounds awesome. That Alex Lifeson flangy flange. So that was really fun jamming with. I'd never met Mike, and he's an amazing drummer, and Philip's an amazing bass player. So we had a lot of fun tracking old school, tracking live. And so I forgot to mention, it's for a thing called Pan Rocks, which is an entire steel drum band that is gonna basically, we cut like a trio, just like Rush would have, and then the steel drums are gonna play on top. And there's literally like 40 people in this band, like steel drums, all different, like huge ones, smaller ones, like, and they're playing along, doing all the parts and stuff. It's all orchestrated. It's bonkers. So pretty neat. Chris is in the top chat, and he says, consider this my PT50 deposit. Coming, dude. So amps been turned on this week, which is really cool, and everything's working great and stuff like that. So there's progress being made. That's all I'll say, but I've seen it light up, which is awesome. Probably in about I have to go to Canada and I'll be gone a week. So probably in about a week or maybe a week and a half, I'll be driving out there and stuff, and we'll be playing and doing work, voicing things and stuff. And John will go, do you like this or this? This or this? It's kind of like getting your, like a new eyeglasses where they go, do you like this or this? This or this? They change the lenses. That's what it's like working with John on amps. He puts caps in and out, and this is better, this better, So we'll be doing that. Cheers. Sorry, I never finished what you said, Chris. You said, consider this my PT50 deposit, because he's in the top chat. He said, seriously though, just a huge thank you from all of us for spending your time and sharing your thoughts. Thank you guys for hanging with me. But 236 online, 236 people, that's pretty rad, not having just not announced it or anything like that. I just wanted to get one of these up this week because I'm not going to be able to do it tomorrow. Can you show us more PT50 pictures? Not yet, but very soon. Very soon it is coming. We're all excited. It's going to look badass too. I'm telling you that. Spending a lot of time like working on the Tolex and stuff like that. You get a real cool one. Red Rider or Aldo Nova? Man, both good. Lunatic Fringe or Fantasy. I'm going to go with Lunatic Fringe as standing the test of time, maybe a little more and sounding a little, that song still sounds pretty damn cool, I think. I don't know. I like Aldo Nova, though. I do. I got a great Aldo Nova story. The first place I moved into LA, he was staying there. I was staying at the Oakwoods in LA, if anybody knows it. So like kind of Toluca Lake, which is incidentally where Nirvana stayed when they made Nevermind. A lot of bands get put up there and stuff like that. It's not called an Oakwood anymore. It's some other company bought it. But anyways, corporate kind of apartment. And Aldo Nova, I got to know him a little bit. He'd be sitting out by the pool, hanging out, and I would go hang with him, and he was a funny guy. But anyway, that was 28 years ago. Do you own a hedgehog? I do. Yeah. And I want to start using it more. I just bought one and I can't wait. That's from Bash You Long Time. Yeah. It's a great amp, man. I mean, honestly, to tell you the truth, the hedgehog, like if I played with probably, I was thinking like, it's certainly with Henley or Melissa Etheridge or something again, I would probably try and use the hedgehog. And see how that worked out, because for some of those tones, like the American kind, it's a more Fendery kind of thing, it's John's own thing, but it's a little more in that camp. So I thought for Henley it would have actually been really, really great amp, like maybe even better than using PT100, which, when I go to the drive side is that British, but John's sounds, I mean, all the Eagles tones were Fender amps, really, I think. So anyway. And the second part of what you were saying was, what's your favorite quick bite to get on the road? Usually sushi if I'm by a coast, especially if I'm playing in Japan, because it's so damn fast. Or a rice ball, onigiri, which is like rice, seaweed with like some tuna or salmon or plum or something in the middle. That's my favorite quick bite when I'm touring lately, which generally means I'm in Japan. What do I recommend to start recording music for a beginner guitarist? Well, you've already got GarageBand on your Mac if you have a Mac. If you've got a Windows computer, you get some kind of simple program. But GarageBand, if you're on a Mac, because I'm a Mac guy, works great. It's simple, and you can just get a simple interface and plug into that. It's got drum sounds built in, and the bass amps even sound good. It's got built-in modeling and stuff. And it's not like incredible, like the guitar sounds or the bass sounds, but they're decent, like enough to start writing songs and having fun. There's all effects in there, delays and reverbs and all kinds of stuff. More than any of us had, that guys my age when we were kids. I mean, we had 4-track Porta studios, so GarageBand did that is like, I mean, if you would have told me that we would have had something like that back then, where you could record 24 tracks of, anything with built-in effects and everything. Are you kidding? It'd be amazing. So I really like the little arrow interface from UA. Apogee has some nice interfaces too. So that's if you want to get something, kind of upgrade. If you want something cheap, I like the PreSonus stuff a lot. Focusrite seems to be popular too. Do you teach on Skype? Says music. I don't. I have, and I may again at some point. But not right now. I just kind of don't really have a ton of time. I would rather sort of, I might do more of it. Like I did Skype lessons when I released the record. I did 10 of them. We sold them as a special package, with some other stuff. And it was fun. I actually enjoyed it. I did like 10 in the summertime. Yeah. Let's see. What do I think of the new Squire line? Do you think it's worth it, or is it better saving up for a Fender? I mean, the new Squires that I've seen are pretty damn good. A lot of those Squire classic vibe guitars are great when they came out for a beginner, Or is it better to save up for a Fender? Well, the reality is you can probably afford a used secondhand, at least, probably a made in Mexico 50s or 60s Strat or something, which are great too. I would probably rather have one of those. Have you ever played pedal steel? No. Excuse me. I have not. Gotta agree. Lunatic Fringe. Yeah, great song, says Ian. Yeah, definitely a really cool track, that one. This is Canadian music, if you guys haven't heard. Lauren, L. Scott Music is online. Hey, dude, he says, what's up? Ever thought of recording back to 2-inch tape? I love to record on analog, but it's really expensive, the tape now. You kind of, unless you buy used reels, which you can do kind of like once used, and then you buy the used reel, and, erase it or whatever and print over whatever was on there. Talk about why you went gluten-free. I felt bloated all the time and I didn't know why. That's why. And I finally went to a doctor, I was constantly in pain kind of, and finally went to a doctor that said, you got some kind of malabsorption problem. It's either dairy or gluten probably. So quit both of those for 2 weeks and see how you feel. And I'd done dairy and tried that, which helped a little bit, but not anywhere close to completely. And I thought, gluten, I've never tried that. And so I stopped, and 2 or 3 days later, I was like, I pretty much feel about like 85% better. And, as time went on, I felt better and better. And and my whole family, I believe, has got issues with gluten. So, yeah. Let's see here. Regarding More Guitar says, regarding working and being friends with Chris Cornell while touring, would he solicit you for song ideas or riffs, or maybe run some of his ideas by you for you to build upon? No. He was really insulated as far as being a songwriter goes into his own thing, you know? And I often thought about, like, why don't I just ask him if he would try writing a song with me? And I never did. He mentioned it once. He was like, we could write a song together and it would be like this. It would be a different, and he kind of brought it up. I was like, oh, that's a exciting idea, and then I never pursued it beyond that. And he never did really either. And I mean, I did do, there's a couple things but they were his songs really. I produced up versions of like 2 songs from the Scream album in real acoustic, like super organic. As anybody that knows that record knows, it was a real departure for him, and it was kind of done by Timbaland, and had a lot of kind of that kind of production, very different sounds for him. Not a lot of guitars going on, and so anyway, I decided I'm gonna. It was kind of an experiment actually, but what I did was I played 6 and 12 string acoustic guitar, and I had upright bass and a real broken down drum kit with brushes and stuff like that. And I produced up these 2 versions of Long Gone and Scream, 2 songs in a very kind of acoustic stripped down, style. And so, and I just recorded them myself, and then I gave them to him, and he actually ended up using the Scream version on tour. When he would go and do the songbook tours, he had it put on vinyl. And if anybody saw the songbook tours, he had a record player on stage for a while, and he would drop the needle on the record and kind of jam along like he was in his living room. And it was kind of like a very sort of warm sort of setup with the record player and kind of a carpet. It looked like he was at home or something playing, at least for some of the shows. And so he would play along to the Scream recording I did, which I loved, because it was like, well, even though I'm not on tour with him, I'm still on tour with him. It was me playing the track and stuff like that, and producing it up and stuff. So that was cool. Let me think. If we did anything else after touring? Not really. Not beyond that, beyond me getting together and then doing a couple gig things with him again. But no, I wish we'd done more. And I wish when he brought it up, and I also wish when I thought of it, I would have been like, you want to try writing something like just as an experiment? He might have said no, but I wish we'd gotten a chance to do that. What are thoughts about MIDI guitars or pickups, says Thomas? Well, I had a great time with that Fishman thing. I don't know if you saw the demo I did of the Fishman. The hell is that thing called again? I always forget the name. Power Play or something, or Triple Play. And I still have the pickup on my red Suhr Telly, my red Suhr T. And it's great. It's really fun. I mean, some of the sounds from the East West library that come with it, incredible. And even just playing the sounds in Logic and stuff with it, calling up soft synths like Alchemy and stuff in Logic, some of the soft synth, and then just trying things. I was like, oh my god! But I love the stuff I was able to do with it on the demo. So watch the Fishman Triple Play thing. It mistriggers a little bit. That's the only thing. So when I'm going through and recording with it, there'd be mistriggered notes you'd see pop up on the grid, all the MIDI notes that come out, and I'd have to go through and edit a bit. But it allowed me to do things that I couldn't do any other way because I don't play keys. So, it's really fun to play and play kind of synth-based sounds and stuff with it. I had a great time. Great Vanzini says, still have my Tascam. Awesome. Yeah, Tascam 4-track. They were fun. I mean, something great about the simplicity of a little 4-track, What are my thoughts? Oh, I already did that one. Is the new PT50 amp a combo or head? It's just going to be heads for now, but I would love to get a combo going, and I'm going to definitely push for that because I think it would be really cool to have, a simple combo. Chris says that's a great Cornell story. Yeah, I mean, I love that he, it was cool. If you ever see, there's probably versions of him doing it online on YouTube. I haven't looked, but if you search "Scream Chris Cornell songbook," it'll probably pop up. And yeah, he used to play with the record player and stuff. He did it with some other. He printed. I remember I had to finish it really quick because he wanted to use it, and I had to get a mix done and not master. I had to keep the level low because he was going to put it on vinyl. So then he had to get vinyl mastering done and all that with it. So I remember having to rush a mix because he was starting the tour and getting it done late one night or whatever, and then emailing it to him so that he could send it to the vinyl mastering plant and stuff. It was really cool. I love that he did that. Any word on my new amp? Yeah, I already said maybe you didn't hear earlier because you probably weren't here, but that's from Braxall. Yeah, it's coming. I mean, I've seen it lit up this way at the shop and stuff like that, and they're working on just some tweaks and stuff like that before I actually come down and end up playing through the thing and stuff. And I'm letting John, give him some time with it before I come down and start being picky and stuff like that. He's the master. So are you a fan of Satch? Yeah, I love Joe Satriani, actually. I think he's great. I love his songwriting and the way he was able to break through to a much, wider audience than most guitar players, go kind of beyond guitar players and play guitar-based music. But as songs, things like Summer Song and stuff that ended up on rock radio. I think that's great. He did a great thing for guitar, and he's a terrific musician. And I like his the way that he builds songs, like sort of starts simple and catches you with a cool melody and stuff, and then builds and builds and builds, and then it gets sometimes he goes way left in the center. That was really like my whole Dirty Town thing was kind of a almost like a tongue-in-cheek takeoff on the Satch Boogie formula, where it's basically a boogie blues kind of song and then goes left in the middle and has nothing to do with blues for a minute, and then pulls back around and comes back to the bluesy thing. I'm late. What kind of beer? It's cider, the Blackthorn cider. Of course, you got to buy that, right? If you see it at the store, it's actually really good. It's pretty dry, which I like in a cider. I don't like it too sweet. I hate like Angry Orchard, to tell you the truth. You can only have one. It's like, whoa, sugar overload. I love real English cider. Actually, even this is quite sweet compared to, you go to England and get like I don't know, Magners and stuff, I guess. That's a good English cider, right? That's quite dry, I think. I like Strongbow. This tastes similar to Strongbow, actually. More Guitars says, thanks for that insight, Pete. Much appreciated. I'm a huge fan and supporter. Thank you, sir. Please don't go away. Let's see. What else we got here with you guys? Thanks for joining me again, you guys, here Saturday night. It's kind of fun. On an early Saturday evening to hang out with y'all. Any chance you could get Blue Saraceno on Tim and Pete? I know Blue Saraceno pretty well now. He actually lives in my hood around here, and he's a great dude. I like him a lot, and I'd love to have him do the Tim and Pete show. I think I could probably actually make that happen, to tell you the truth. That would be one that wouldn't be. And we haven't done a Tim and Pete guitar show for a while. We have to get back at it and do some more. I missed him. We haven't done anything for a while. But yeah, that's a great idea. Actually, I hadn't even thought of that. So thanks from Michael. I appreciate that, Michael. I'll mention that. And when I talk to Blues again, he's such a great guitar player, and just cool guy. Is there no Sunday show? Says Charles. No, not going to be a Sunday show because I have to be on a plane tomorrow to go to Toronto. Yeah. Go catch up with my Toronto homies and stuff. How did I learn how to value myself as a musician? How did you learn to put a price tag on the work you do? That's a good question. That's from Cody. I learned, I had some good mentors, really. I fell in with a good crowd when I first got to LA. it could go different ways. You could get in with different groups of people, and friends. And the group of people that I managed to fall in with were all professional musicians that had big touring gigs. So Frank Symes, who musical directs for the Who now, he was somebody I met really early on, and he became like a mentor to me, as well as a few other people. Jennifer Condos, who was so both Frank and Jennifer played with Don Henley when I first met them, and they had a band, and I ended up joining their band. We wrote songs and demoed songs and stuff. Eventually, I ended up getting a record deal in Japan. That was my first kind of foray into the professional music business, not having to work a day job and stuff. Was finally getting a deal with those guys. But so I was really young. I was barely 20 years old, and they were in their mid 30s. And they were playing, like I say, with Don Henley, and Frank also had just gotten a gig with Mick Jagger, so obviously had huge gigs. So because I was tight with them, I learned a lot about the business and what you should make and how you conduct yourself and how everything. I just kind of soaked up information as much as I could. One of the very first things that happened, so I would be 20 when this happened, and I had met Frank, and he had heard me play. I'd sent him some of my songs and stuff, and I went down and did an audition. And when I went and auditioned with his band, he said, "Come to this place," and it was a rehearsal studio here in the Valley. And I packed up my gear in the car and drove over there. I'd learned the shit out of their songs and stuff, and knew I really wanted to get the gig. And I pulled in and I wheeled into this place. I'd never seen a place like this. It was like a big industrial kind of building, parking lot. I pulled in and wheeled my gear in, and it was a full-blown LA kind of rehearsal studio, full-blown where you could do full tour production kind of rehearsals. I'd never seen a place like that before, coming from Canada. And this is, about a year after I'd gotten down to LA. So I pulled all my gear in there in the room and did the audition. And I remember as I was setting up my gear, Don Henley was rehearsing next door. That's why they had me there, because they were doing a Henley rehearsal next door. So they just moved some gear over into the next room to do my audition. And I remember being in the room, and Jimmy, the drummer, was setting up his drums. And a guy came in, he stuck his head in the room, and he says, "Hey, I hear there's a guy in here that looks like me." And Jimmy looked up from behind his drums, and he goes, "No, Steve, you look like me," right? And I looked up, and it was Steve Perry from Journey. And I was like, "Whoa, that's Steve Perry." That was crazy. This was 91. So 91, yeah, maybe early 92, something like that. But late 91, early 92. So anyway, I did the audition. They gave me the gig. Then Frank called me and said, "Okay, you got the gig. Come down and pick up a cassette tape back in those days." He said, "Come down and pick up a tape of all the songs from the band that we want you to learn and stuff." So I went back to the rehearsal studio. And that time when I went down, we were getting to know each other a little bit better. And he invited me into the Henley rehearsal room and said, "Just hang out for a minute. We're going to play for a few minutes. You can watch," or whatever. And what they were doing is they were rehearsing for a Walden Woods benefit. So it was all of Don Henley's band. And I remember Sheryl Crow being there, because at that point she was a background singer with Henley. And so I remember seeing her in the back. And Roger Waters was in there, and they played Comfortably Numb, because he was doing he was one of the special guests on the Walden Woods benefit that Don was doing. So I lucked out. I hit the jackpot as far as meeting people goes. I sat down on the couch and watched them play, and I thought, I think I've found myself in a really good circle of people, obviously, at a pretty early point of coming to LA. So those folks, there's no substitute for having friends like that, and they helped me out so much, learning a lot about the business. And years later, when Frank ended up having to leave Don Henley's band because he was playing with Roger Daltrey full time, and then ended up musical directing the Who. This was in 2009. I got the gig with Don. So, and it was really, that wouldn't have happened without Frank and that connection. So many years later, it was still, a really important thing. Pedro says, "Hi, Pete, just got a 500 series lunch box with a Neve 1073 and API 550B. Great stuff. I already have a distressor outside. Do you recommend any other 500 series?" The Maris is great. It's called a 440, I think, and it's not expensive. It's an API style mic pre, which is great for guitar, and it's really made for guitar recording. So it has some simple sort of switches for low cut and maybe boosting 4K or 7K. Simple things to kind of fine tune in a guitar sound. But the really cool thing is it has a pedal level effects loop built in. So what you can do is put a mic on your guitar cabinet or whatever, and then plug a pedal in there into that pedal level effects loop right on the front of the preamp. And now you're sending the mic signal into a pedal. So if you've got a Plexi or an old Fender or an AC30 and you want to get some post reverb or delay or something like that going, there's your effects loop, and you can record the sound that way. So it's a really, really great unit to have for a 500 series, I think. And they're under $500, I think, or right about maybe $499. So it's not a real expensive mic pre. It's really reasonable and sounds great. So I think that's awesome. Other things you could get, I have the Meris Mercury 7 reverb as well. I want to get a second one actually, because then I can run stereo. But yeah, we got 300 people online. That's awesome for not having announced this early. Anyway, yeah, so the Mercury 7, amazing sounding reverb you can get. Most use I'm going to get out of 500 series stuff, though, is mic pre's and maybe compression, and I don't really do a lot of I guess you've got a 550B, which is rad. That's the graphic. That's super. I wish I had one of those, to be honest. I think you've kind of got a great setup there. Maybe just get the, between the 1073B and the API 550, and then Meris, maybe you could get a cool compressor. You got a distressor already, you said, though, so I think you're kind of covered. I don't know. You don't have to fill all those slots. Maybe just one alternate pre. Let's see. What do I recommend? The Blues Junior or Marshall DSL? Well, it really depends on what Jeff Beck likes the Blues Junior and the Marshall DSL. I think he uses both at the same time. See, Get back says, good to see you on a Saturday. Could you speak about your personal picking mechanics? It looks like you usually slant your pick upwards. I don't really think about it, man. Honestly, I've tried to change the way that I pick quite a bit, because I wish that I planted my fingers on the front of the guitar a bit more. When you see people pick and they kind of have their fingers either around the pickup ring or kind of planted to give them some frame of reference. My hand is always back, and that's the natural position that I just kind of fall into. And I'm not really proud of, my picking technique. I kind of would love to, I guess it's okay. I would love to just bear down and actually change a few things about it, but it's kind of very unconscious for me. Reb Beach is my hero, says some Dave dude, that uses your choice of guitars. He uses the PT100 too. He's been a PT100 user for a long time now, going all the way back to the custom audio version. And now he uses the new version. What do you think about Reb? I love him. He's awesome. And what he does for the guitar company, he does not push them. Yeah, I agree. But it never has bad things to say about them. Yeah, I mean, he's got his own Suhr, the Koa thing. And John loves him, by the way. He said, he thinks he's a great guy. He seems like a great guy. Yeah. I've had a little bit of email correspondence with him. Time to polish off the rest of my cider. Why not? It's Saturday. And all I got to do is pack and get up in the morning and fly. Yeah, I like Reb a lot. And his playing that Headed for a Heartbreak solo, always one of my favorites. I love that whole tail end of the song. That it's the super moody thing, that was always my favorite thing that I'd heard him do. I think he's a great guitar player. How do I feel about Muse as a group as it relates to guitar? Awesome. I think that's from Showman Blues. I think Muse is great. We played some shows with them going way back when I was with Chris in South Africa. Yeah, Johannesburg and Cape Town. We did 2 shows with Muse, and I was knocked out by those guys and their live show and their sound. They were pretty incredible. Yeah, that Bellamy character, he's amazing, I think. he's a real rock star and does his own thing, and incredible. Let's see here. Let's see. Why go out when we can hang here? It's true. Let's just hang here. Why go out? It's cold out there. Let's see. Thank you, pizzas, Robert. I tend to plant my pinky when playing. Yeah, I think that it's kind of cool because it gives you a frame up, gives you a home base, a home base point to kind of jump off from. So I kind of want to practice doing that more, to tell you the truth. I think it's kind of a good thing. Matt is in the top chat. Thanks, Matt. He says, huge fan, and I don't miss these even on a Saturday night. I'm trying to settle on video software. Are you using Premiere Pro or Final Cut? As a Logic user, is there a reason to go with Final Cut? I don't think it really matters as a Logic user. I just do Final Cut because it's what I've had, and I got used to iMovie. I was never a GarageBand user myself, but I know GarageBand is to Logic sort of as iMovie is to Final Cut. So for me, I started using iMovie when I started doing these things because it was already on my computer. That's where Apple's smart. They get you because they give you a little free teaser and then kind of rope you in. And it makes sense because it's kind of cool actually, because it lessens the learning curve. You learn the simple program first, and then you get the new program, the upgrade, and it's like, oh, well, it's kind of just like a more deluxe version of a thing that I'm already used to. So it's kind of nice actually in that way. But there's things about Final Cut that drive me crazy. It's not perfect. I've never used Premiere, so I don't know. I think more pros use Premiere Pro, to be honest. I think it's kind of seen as more of a professional program, and that's the one that most people that really do serious video work seem to use. But Final Cut works fine for me, and I have no interest in learning another program, honestly. Any changes to the PT signature guitar for NAMM? I wanted something. Well, so we're making a running change on the bridge. That's happening over time here. It's just taking a minute, but that's a thing. I want to do another new thing that'll come, but not, I've got an amp coming. So it's like, that's going to be the main focus for the show. And I'm fine with that. And then we've got a plan for the guitar for something else new, but that probably in the summer, I think next summer. Can't ask them to do too much stuff for me, What did you play before Suhr guitars? That's a good question. Thinking back to what I was playing before I got my first Suhr, a lot of Gibson. My main kind of endorsement with Gibson back then, really. I'm still pretty good friends with Matt Ferguson, who was my Gibson artist relations guy back then. He's at Line 6 now, and he's a great guy. So yeah, mainly it was Gibson guitars that I was using. If I was playing a Fendery style guitar, what did I even have back then? God, it's weird. I don't even remember a time. And it's strange because the YouTube thing sort of coincides with when I got my first Suhr, which is around 2005, 2006. So I can't even remember because I'd have to look back at old photos from 2001 and stuff to see what I was playing. I was playing a lot of Gibson back then, though. I didn't have a lot of single coil guitars. I remember having a Strat that was like a Japanese-made, it was a Japan-made Fender with a humbucker and two singles and a Floyd Rose. It was a pretty cool guitar, actually. I sold it to a student of mine. So I remember that. I had a couple PRSs, and I had my old 335. I had a PRS McCarty, and that was a pretty cool guitar. Good sounding guitar, actually. This is from Carl. Any tips on dialing reverb for dirty rhythm sounds on the Helix, especially through a real guitar cabinet? It's always a balancing act for me, and I never quite get it right. You can get the mix up higher if you make the reverb darker. That's one thing. Same thing for delay. I don't tend to use a hell of a lot of reverb unless it's really for an effect. Like if I've got, that crazy black hole thing going on, or spring. If I want a spring with tremolo and I want it to be boingy and kind of surfy or whatever, then it's a thing. But other than that, I'm not a big reverb. I'll do a hall that's kind of just there for lead sounds sometimes. But it is a little weird dialing it in through a guitar amp. It's just kind of strange unless it's a spring and it's that organic kind of integrated sound, that's what's built into the amp. That's always easier. Sometimes like this guy could be helpful because it's got the parallel, so later after I get off of here with you guys, what I'm going to do is plug this thing in. And for those that didn't join, this is the Atlantic. This is a delay and reverb in one pedal from the New X folks. And you can switch on the delay and reverb separately, and it's got a switch to run them in series or parallel. So I'm going to do that actually for maybe the lead part. And I'll be sure to make a point about how it can keep the reverb separate from the delay and kind of make it more defined. Yeah, so I'll cut that in a little bit here. What else? When I practice, do I play more acoustic, electric? Definitely electric. I don't play very much acoustic at all these days. I should play more. Just take classical guitar lessons or something. Do something different. What the hell's the matter with me? Did John mind when the new load box was leaked? Or no, he knew. I recorded a video and you could see it in the background. Look, there it is over there. Everybody knows it's coming at this point. I'm actually going to take it to Cosmo. So if anybody's going to be there in Toronto, I'm going to use it because it's badass. So it's just simple and works great. What were we talking about? Did John mind? No. So I hit him up and I go, hey, you can kind of see the load box in this video I just recorded. Do you want me to crop it out of the shot or I think it was for the Abasi pedal, the overdrive. And I said, no. He said, no, just leave it in there. It's going to be cool. People will start talking about it. So have I been recording with other artists? Any new releases? Well, I just did that. So yesterday I just did a session with Mike Portnoy and from, Extreme Theater and Philip from Steve Vai's band, great bass player. And we did 3 Rush tunes, but there's going to be a whole steel drum band playing on top of it. So it's going to be very interesting. YYZ. You can see it on my Instagram. Some of us tracking YYZ as a trio. So that was really fun to play with Portnoy. He's kind of a legend. An amazing sparkle green drum kit with concert toms. I loved it. Stephen Douglas says, I would be careful about changing style to planting fingers. It may make changing guitars more difficult. That's kind of true. I just wish I could kind of do it at will if I wanted to. Wasn't that first Suhr video like 10 years ago, says Chris. The first video I made for those guys was, 2007, 11 years ago. Thoughts on the Blue Guitar Amp 1? I don't know. I've never used it. But I do have one of these here. And I think this thing's great. This is a... you guys ever seen this? It's the Blue Box. This has got sort of built-in IRs, essentially. You can't load IRs into it, but there's a huge selection of cabinets. So you could run, say, the output of a reactive load into this, and then just come line level out of this right into the PA or a powered speaker or into your recording interface. And this thing sounds great. The guy that made this really knows what he's doing, and the cabinets that he picked sound terrific. Kind of very simple, like Stack 1970. That's one of my favorites. That's a G12M, I think bass cone speakers in a 412 from 1970. And you just turn this knob edge or center for brighter or darker, kind of in the neutral positions right in the middle. So you just kind of sweep that, and it gives a subtle kind of EQ curve to the IR. It's very simple to use, super simple. So if you don't want to mess around with, speaker stuff in the computer, there's that. There's of course also there's the, wait, that's not the right thing. I thought I had my, have I been drinking? Oh yes, I have. There's the, I thought this was my, the other Suhr box that looks exactly like it. The, what the hell is it called? The Ace analog cabinet emulator. Anyway, that's my Cocoa Boost. That's not the right thing. Anyway, it sort of looks like this, but it does analog speaker simulation. This is digital, this thing, but very, very, very simple, and this thing works great. So I can probably imagine that Blue Guitar Amp 1 unit probably sounds pretty good. I would think. Let's see. How long have I been doing this for? I have no idea, actually. 49 minutes. So I'm going to go to an hour, guys, and then I'm going to split so that I'm going to try and get this reverb pedal video done. So I'll do about 10 more minutes, then I'll split. Let's see. I'm a high school student, and I use iMovie for my school projects when we have to do videos. If you know how to use it properly and you spend hours on a product, I think what you're saying, that's Jack, the musician. Your friends thought you used Final Cut. Yeah, I agree. So I've seen some videos that Phil X has made for his record, like full-on videos using iMovie, and they're great. It's like I did everything on iMovie for a long time. It works great. Syncing multi-camera angles and stuff, kind of a pain in the ass. There is actually, maybe there is now, but back when I was using it, there was no way to do that. You could do that in Final Cut really easy. But essentially, you can make great-looking videos in iMovie. Any tricks on keeping the Les Paul in tune? Just Big Ben's nut sauce. Get that stuff and have a tech go over the nut on the guitar and make sure that the slots are angled a little bit. There's also the string butler thing. That thing helps the strings fan out. You can look for that. Just Google string butler. Yeah. What did I record the Rush songs for, says Chris? It's a thing called Pan Rocks. So it's like a steel drum band, huge steel drum band that some guys put together. And it's players from all over the place. And there's literally, I don't know, there must be 40 or something like that. They did some Zeppelin songs like Kashmir and stuff a year ago and recorded them. All really nice folks from like all over America and Canada. And they played, it was incredible. We went in there and the very first day we went in, you can see on Mike Portnoy's Instagram actually some of the video from the rehearsal, which has all the steel drums and stuff. So go check it out. Mike Portnoy Instagram, I think is his Instagram. And it was a lot of fun. But then, so what they wanted to do was just have us track the songs as a trio, like Rush would have, and then they're going to build on top of it. So that's what they did all day today. I think they're probably still there right now tracking. So it was a lot of fun. Jim's in the top chat. He says, using a 2-notes captor and wall of sound with Celestion IRs, it sounds a bit metallic and hollow. New to this, any idea what I'm doing wrong? Yes, you probably are listening to the input and the output at the same time. So you have to mute if you're using Logic or whatever your DAW is, and then whatever your interface is. You probably have a software mixer for your interface. If you're using Focusrite or you're using, if you're using UA, it's called console. You have to go into console and mute all the inputs in UA console. Apogee, I can't remember what their console program is, but anyway, you don't want to listen to the input and the output. I tend to mute the input and then just listen through the DAW. So then when you record enable the channel in Logic or Pro Tools or whatever, I listen to that. I listen to the return of that and I mute the input thing with, hope that makes sense, but that's what you're doing wrong if it sounds metallic and hollow. Which is a common mistake. When are you at Cosmo, Pete? Said Frank. I'm there on Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday night. Braxall says, what did you think about the Analog Man Sunface fuzz pedal? Haven't tried it, to tell you the truth. The only Analog Man pedal I have is a King of Tone, but judging from what everybody, he's kind of a legend, really. He's one of the original boutique pedal guys and has a pretty much impeccable reputation, and everybody loves his pedals. So I imagine it's an awesome fuzz face type pedal. September Fire says, I admire Pete's pleasant disposition. Thank you. And positive attitude, actually more influential in his playing. Thanks. I appreciate that. I think that, pause for cider. I think that the most important thing in any, whatever your job is or your hobby or your career or whatever, the most important thing is to be a nice person, right? Kind of be the kind of person that people want to be around, hopefully, somebody that's, I don't know. It's the most important thing that will get you far in life is not to be a jerk or egotistical or, just be a good person, for God's sakes. Be mellow, and it seems to take you places, right? People are like, oh, he was a nice guy. I want to do something. I want to hang with him again, like in a work setting or a friend setting or whatever. I don't know. It's the most important thing. Which doesn't mean I won't. I was on YouTube earlier and looking at a few like real asshole comments, on some stuff. And I'm not above telling somebody to fuck right off if that's what is warranted. Sometimes I think it's important to, just let that loose every now and then. They'll put some of these jerks in their place sometimes, because there's some real jerks out there, man. But luckily, it's like the very, very, very minimum, it seems. I think most, like, it's the Rush lyric. Most folks are basically decent. Wasn't that a Rush lyric? I believe that to be true. Most people are decent folks. So, let's see. The blue guy, that's Thomas. Yeah, that makes the blue box, seems to know his stuff. He's a really good guitar player. Which always, if you're a gear designer, it's great if you're a great player and can get great tones and stuff like that, because just bodes well for the gear. And are you still going through speaker choice for the PT50? The cabinet. So I'm going to do a new cabinet for this amp, and it's just been ordered. So once it arrives, we'll do the shootout and try a bunch of different stuff. What we ended up doing with the PT212, which I love, the original PT212, was we spent an afternoon just pulling speakers in and out and trying all kinds of different stuff, and arrived at what we arrived at. So it'll be a selection of some sort, whether it's two G12H greenbacks again, or we could easily do two greenbacks now, because we're talking lower wattage. So that would not be a problem. I'm a greenback guy, so, but I want to look at the Neo creambacks closely, because they're light, and so everybody likes light, and I loved the sound of them when I heard them before. So that's the one I'm hoping that I'll really, if it sounds as good as I remember, I've got no problem using those Neo speakers. It's cold there, Cosmo. I'm married to a Canadian girl, and I can't take the cold there. It's a different type of cold. Yeah, although I don't think it's very cold right now. Like, I think it's like -1 kind of thing, like right around freezing. I'm speaking in Celsius now. Lando Music is in the top chat. Just ordered the Sterling ST170. Awesome. See you Wednesday in Ottawa. Awesome. See you there. And if you can get it, well, you might not have a chance before I see you, but I'd love to know what you think of that, Mike. I think it's terrific. Sterling ST170 is a Guitar Center brand of microphones, and they make this ribbon mic that's an inexpensive ribbon that I love. I think it's a great ribbon microphone, especially for the money. Really enjoy using it. Really terrific mic. Once again, any thoughts on being nervous on stage? That's from Mervyn. Well, the most important thing to remember, first of all, the thing I do if I'm nervous on stage, the number one thing to remember is the audience is there to have a good time. They're not there to judge. They paid money to get in, and they're waiting for something great to happen. So you've already got them in a way when you walk out, right? They're stoked. They want to have a good time. They don't want to be, curmudgeons to sit there and critique. They want to see something fun. So you're already, they're in a positive headspace anyway. And then what I do is I use some positive role models that are generally folks that don't seem to care, about the wrong stuff. And so Jack White is one that I always go to, because he's so, he's not like a technically amazing guitar player, but I think he's a good guitar player, and his focus is always on the performance, and he's very energetic, and he's very focused on the shit that matters, which is like entertaining people and having, putting your 100% into it and going for it and not worrying about missing a note or whatever, because nobody actually really cares, So finding yourself a positive person that you could what would so-and-so do in this situation? And just pretend you're them for a minute. And that tends to take you out of whatever headspace, that if you were in a negative space. I find that works. Let's see here. Yumi says the Moore radar versus the blue guitar cab sim. What do you say? Well, the Moore just will require a little bit more, patience as far as like, trying different IRs. I like the blue. I would say for the stock IRs, the blue is better, but the Moore you can load anything in. So if you've got specific own hammers or Celestion or whatever that you really like, you're going to want to get the Moore because you can do that. But the blue box is a great, like, for people that are like, I don't care about IRs. I don't want to listen to a ton in my computer. I just want something that works and sounds great. I want it to sound like a damn greenback. The blue box is going to have you covered. You'll be fine with that. I sort of tend to think that, I have to answer somebody right now on a text. Sorry, just 1 second. Sorry. Okay, sorry. So yeah, long story short, if you're, wanting to get something simple and you don't want to mess around with auditioning, I tend to think most folks, like a lot of these boxers are coming out like the Aux, which is awesome. I love it. And then there's, that new Boss unit that's coming out, which I haven't tried yet, but I think is going to be awesome. A lot of options. There's some people that are, into that. And it's going to work great for them. Certain producers and guitar players that are very technically minded and stuff are going to want to go that way. I love the Aux. I think it's awesome. Strikes in. It's actually very elegant in the way it works, even though there's a lot of options there. It's not a difficult thing to understand. There's going to be folks that just don't want to futz around, right? Which is what the Suhr Ace is great at, or a Hughes and Kettner Red Box, or something that's very simple. I think the blue guitar falls in that camp with a little bit more versatility, actually, like with all the different cabs. You just pick the cab you want, darker, brighter, high and low level switch, you're done. It's very simple. There's almost every option you could probably want in there. They do sound really good. It's a very, very simple device that still has a few options on it, quite a few options actually. So, and I sort of think that a lot of people, like even real great pros that get great tones, they don't necessarily want to futz around with 4 million different options. They just want to get to the music and cut the part. And so, and I really appreciate that sort of aesthetic and way of thinking. I don't always want to mess around like and try every option under the sun. So Swanky Tiger here is in the top chat. He says, hey, Pete, big fan of your gear demos. Really appreciate your insight. Do you know yet if you'll do one for the Electro-Harmonix Grand Canyon? You want to know something? Electro-Harmonix, this is kind of a strange thing, or maybe it's not a strange thing. Maybe they just don't like me, but there are one company that I've never, ever made a video for. Electro-Harmonix has never approached me, never asked me to do anything. I think they make nice videos on their own, actually. Yeah. But like that Mel 9 pedal, the Mellotron pedal, I would love to do a video for that pedal, or some of they're kind of more like the sitar one, and like, because I'd love different kinds of pedals, and they're great at that. They do, all kinds of pedals that do different things besides just being overdrives or distortions or whatever. I wish they would hit me up, actually. So send them an email for me and let them know you'd like to see me do a video. I would love to play around with some of their pedals. They've just never approached me. Maybe they feel like they've got it all covered on their own. They don't need other folks, so they just kind of like want to do things in the house, kind of. Because now that I think about it, I haven't seen a lot of other people do videos for them either. Some of the usual suspects, the guys like me that do this kind of thing. Do you buy your gear online or still go into the stores? I was just at Guitar Center today. I'd still like to go to music stores. I love music stores. I was thinking about it today. It's like, I miss this. I miss going to the music store. Sweetwater's great. I love Sweetwater, and I think they're a really good company that is, great customer support. They've got everything. You can shop online. Why go anymore? Well, I still love to go. I still love to go to the music store and walk around, look at the stuff. And I sort of appreciate that actually Guitar Center here in LA, for a big store, they're working hard, it seems, to update their stores and try and stay relevant, and I know that that's got to be it's a struggle. Like, it's got to be like a white knuckle, like trying to stay in business these days with a musical instrument store is a difficult thing, I think. But when you can get just about everything you want on Amazon. But there's still something great, right? Especially buying a guitar. Like, guitar is such a personal thing. I don't know. It's kind of weird to buy a guitar like online. I mean, I bought a Suhr secondhand, but that's a different thing, where you buy it and you get it and you hope it's cool. I bought my Yaron that way too. But buying kind of I don't know, if it's a guitar that I could go down the street and try at Guitar Center, I don't know that I want to order it from some big box online, like, kind of retail place. I don't know. I'd rather I'd rather drive around to LA and go to 3 or 4 different stores and try to, because you know what I'm saying. 3 degrees Celsius right now in Toronto. So that would be about, 37 degrees or something like that Fahrenheit. That doesn't sound too bad. I can handle that. I'll be there tomorrow. Any tips for learning multiple guitars in mix or pan? It just depends. I mean, it's EQ and separating things, and some, if the tones are basically the same, you use the same guitar and you just double track and hard pan them wide, it kind of sounds like one big guitar. If you do different types of sounds, you can get some more variety of different things coming in and out. Or, if you want it to sound not just like a big wall of one thing, try doing a Telly on one side and a Les Paul on the other side or something, with different amp settings or different pedal or something, but playing the same part if you want to do a double. If you want it to sound more like, grabbing your ear and coming in and out and doing things, listen to like bands like Zeppelin or Stone Temple Pilots or something for that. They were always good at layering. They weren't afraid to just have a mono kind of pinpointed guitar one way, and then in the chorus some other sound comes in on the other side. And Tim Pierce is a master at it too, and he probably in his studio guitar course, I bet he goes pretty in depth into that. So anyways, I gotta go soon, you guys. It's about 1:06. I'll go to 1:10, an hour and 10 minutes, and then I'll jet. This was fun. I'm glad I decided to do this. Saturday night, it was, still 300 people online most of the time, which was awesome. Favorite Celestion IRs. Well, actually, I have some new favorite ones that haven't come out yet. And I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about them yet or not, so I better not, but there's some new ones. As far as my favorites, like overall for a while, have just been their high gain all mixes. So, you can go into the folder and find the mixes of the microphone. So either the 57 and the 121 combined, or the high gain all, which is the 57, 121, and 421 all combined into an IR. I like those. That's a great place to start and see what you think, and then if you're doing it in the computer where you're using IRs and you can mix them, I highly recommend using Mix IR2, which is a Redwires program, to mix a few different ones together. I would try using like either the balanced 57 or the dark 57, which ain't all that dark, still pretty bright. And then blending in, say, the dark 257, getting a blend between those two, and then maybe blend in a 121, either the balanced or dark, and just pull that in 10 or 15%, something like that. So it's kind of like blending two 57s in different positions on the speaker and then pulling in a 121 a little bit. If you can do that, that gets the best sounds, I think. The Celestion mixes are cool. I find that they're a little, if I have a critique, it's that the 121 seems a little loud to me, which can kind of be a little cloudy and a little bassy, a little too fat. I would have a little less of it if I was to do some custom mixes, which I might ask them if they will do for me. Let's see. What else here? What's a good 60s sounding set of single coil pickups? My favorite is Ron Ellis as of late, but for Tellys especially. The Suhr V60 LPs are super nice, as well as the ML Classics. Can't go wrong there. Pretty easy to get. What do I think about, what's that say? Have you ever bought a guitar at Norm's? No, I haven't actually. Bought a guitar at Gruhn's in Nashville. That's where my Strat came from. Yeah. Sean is here in the house. What's up, Sean? Good to see you. Frank Quinn thinks I am so Impressed right now with overloud TH3. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but you guys are talking amongst yourselves. That's September Fire. Ever try the Fender Elite Strat, like the early 80s one, like a la Ty Tabor? I have, but not for a long time. Back then, they were kind of wacky, that weird bridge and the active pickups. Or maybe it was just normal pickups with an active preamp. Timothy says, hey, Pete, I'm a big fan. I have an Egnator hand-wired amp, and I'm looking at the Friedman Deluxe Overdrive. I guess you mean the BE OD Deluxe. Any feedback on this setup? That should be cool. Just set the Egnator real clean. Before or after the effects, so definitely before, in front of the amp, in my opinion. This has been great fun. Thanks. Thank you for being here. That was a comment from somebody. PTU the man. Thank you. That's from Nightfly. Really appreciate the advice. The wall of sound is something I'm trying to avoid, so that was helpful. What do you think of this Tele Deep Sea Neck? I don't know. Haven't tried. You never know until you pick it up. Andres is from Argentina. What's up? How does a treble booster work with a hot rotted Marshall kind of amp like the Frieden BE 100 Aboggy Helios? It will be my birthday in 40 minutes. Can you say hi to me? Everybody say hi to Andres. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Cheers, dude. Happy birthday all the way to Argentina. Happy birthday to you. A treble booster into a Marshall will sound like Judas Priest. And into a hot Marshall, like the Friedman BE100 something, will sound like Judas Priest on steroids. It'll sound great. Essentially, that's the sound I use on like Monster Movie from my first record, Guitar Nerd. It's got that kind of mid snarl kind of sound. Great sound. I love treble boosters. Anything Rangemaster into a Marshall or Vox, it's cool. Yeah. Robert says, hi, Pete. What do you find more user-friendly, the Helix or the Headrush? I would say both about the same, actually. They're both quite easy to use. There's more options on the Helix. The Headrush has the touchscreen, which isn't different and completely unique thing from any other modeler. So they're both really easy to use, to be honest. Not a big learning curve going on with... Probably a little steeper learning curve with the Helix, actually. The Headrush is exceedingly simple, to be honest. Really, how many times can a guy say "be honest"? And to be honest, I think it might be time for me to go. I think my cider is getting to my head. Okay, let's see. Yeah, everybody's saying happy birthday. Happy birthday, dude. I love Argentina, by the way. Great place. Haven't been in a long time. Would love to go again. Let's see. Steven says he just bought a Strat from Market Norms. Great place. I agree. I mean, Norms is a cool, old school, awesome, LA institution. I love LA institutions like the Rainbow, Norms Rare Guitars. If it was in Spinal Tap and it's still around, well, that's cool, right? Norms is really cool. So I love, LA's a really transient city. So that when there's things that stick around for a long time, I think it's great. Rainbow, the Roxy, Norm's Rare Guitars. What else? I don't know. Dupar's just closed down in Studio City. That was a drag, even though it was kind of a dump. But it was an institution. I don't like it when they go away. Time-based effects in the loop or in front. What is your preference? Just depends. In front's going to be your Jimmy Page or Joe Walsh thing, and in the loop is going to be more Steve Lukather. Depends what you want. All right, you guys, I gotta run. I'm gonna get this reverb pedal video done. So, hope to see you at Cosmo or in Ottawa. If I'm out in your neck of the woods, please come out to one of those clinics this week. And I've got some videos to edit still from GitCon, so I'm hoping to get up my Rick Beato video. I can't believe I haven't put that up yet, but it's just really slammed doing other stuff. And I was working on those Rush tunes for a few days just to get them up to. I thought I'm not going to go in there and suck with Mike Portnoy, so I was practicing that a lot and haven't been putting out a lot of videos lately. But I'll get this reverb pedal done and out next week, the video for that. And yeah, maybe the Rick video as well as some other stuff from GitCon. And I'll maybe catch you guys live from up there or something. Maybe I'll do one of these again from a hotel room somewhere in Canada. I don't know. Anyway, folks, have a great rest of your weekend, and over and out. See ya.